This is part of a series of videos. Check the playlist in the cards or the description to find the others. I'm going to teach a little bit of UI things today. So let's make a microchip. Most common bit of UI is like a health bar at the top or something, so let's make one of those. So let's have a text displayer. Text displayers can be on the screen, so they're not like in the scene and stuff, which has some pros and cons to it. But a text displayer can be on the screen or in the scene, so we might be able to make a health bar that works in either situation. The first thing to know is if you play time, you won't see it because it won't render unless you've set this to something. Even if you set it to an empty text like that, now when you're playing time it will render it. Now we want to be able to drag it left and right so that we can animate it going out, but with this it kind of sticks to the size of the text, so if you have more text then it's wider. But we don't want any text, we just want to animate it wider, so we can go and turn auto fit off, and now we can just drag these handles to make it wider. And then let's make it red. There we go. Maybe a little dark red there. But we want to be able to just drag one of the handles. We want to fill it up from the left to right. If we were animating this, which we will be in a minute, that would mean we'd have to animate it getting shorter and moving left, and shorter and moving left, so that the left stays at the same spot and stuff, which is very tedious and probably wouldn't work very well. So instead we can go to alignment and click on left alignment. So this is normally the text alignment in here. So if it was right aligned, the text would be right aligned, but it's also where the gizmo of this, so just like other gadgets have gizmos in the scene, that you can move around. This is the gizmo of that gadget, which means we can move it around and stuff. So the kind of origin point of the gizmo is on this side now. And if we go vertical alignment top, now it's at the top right. And that's why this kind of moves, because the origin point hasn't been moved for the gizmo. So if you look at that spot, it doesn't, if I line that up with the corner of the window, that spot doesn't move for the origin point, it just stays the same. But now if we put the origin point to the left, now we have a handle just going right like that. And now we can animate that out for our health bar. And we can just set this back to no text. Right, and we can set it to be that size and put it up there. Got settings for things like curviness, so how rounded the corners are. So I can put that to 0, hide the border and shadow. So let's say we want our health bar to be there. Oh, let's just animate it first. So if while time is playing, this will show, but if you rewind, it will stop showing. So I want it to keep showing. So if I press play and then pause, now logic won't be running, but we'll be able to see this. So I can use a keyframe and grab this gizmo and say how wide it is. So I'll start with it being thin like that and animate it being wide. And now the more health we have, the more we want it to be wide, so the more we want this keyframe to do its thing. And the way you do that is you grab, let's just grab a value slider to demonstrate it, and I'll give it more decimal places. So now we've got a nice smooth slider, and we power it to whatever degree we want it to be wide. So we want to be really wide, or not wide, or medium amount of wide. So now we've got that. A little tip for aligning stuff. What I like to do is have an extra text displayer with nothing on the text and no box, no shadow, just a border. I can make the border white, and then set it to auto fit, so I can adjust the size, but then have it aligned to the screen. So this is a slightly different kind of alignment. This is like to do with where the whole box is on the screen. So like at the bottom or the top or the middle, and so on. So now I can tell where the middle is. I can go like that and say, let's have less curviness on it. So it starts from over there, so it should probably go to the same point over there, so it's nice and centralized. So when it's all the way across, I'll play time and pause again. Then I want this one to be that wide. There we go. And now I can just turn that off. Cool, so we got that. Let's make a copy of this now. And you don't want this keyframe to affect that one. This will be like our background or our border. So it's really thin though, because it's at that thinner, it's not being widened by the keyframe. So let's widen it like that. So about the same spot, and we'll make it black. Okay. And we want this to be behind, so it has an ordering here, sort order. So if we have this one with a higher sort order, then it will be above this black one with a lower sort order. It's got 1 and it's got 2. And now we can give this one a border, or give this one a shadow, or however we want to style it. And this one won't change when this goes down, so it'll be our background and border and everything. So you could have a black background and a different coloured border if you want, or maybe it's black border and a grey background, or maybe it's a red background and the bar is green, so now it's like getting more red as it's getting worse for you. And this is really finicky because it's so small, so I'm holding R2 very lightly, and now when I move it like across the whole screen, it's barely moving on what I'm changing. So that looks okay to me. We could even do stuff like give it a texture mode, standard texture mode, and now it's got this kind of faded out thing towards the edges, which is kind of cool. And you can control that here. And if we gave it more curviness, then as we give it a higher fade amount, it's kind of nice, like a nice glint to the front there, and even when it's full, it's like that. So now we could have a second one with no texture and no curviness, and that's just a full thing. Play and pause, so it's there again. And then we can make this white or something and have a higher sort order. And now we've got this cool glint effect to our like a highlight to our bar. If we don't want it to look kind of textured like that, it's like got this flecky texture, you can see, which I think is kind of cool in this case. But if you didn't want that, you could turn the texture strength down to 0, and now it's just smooth. And you could like have it with less opacity if you wanted. Adjust all these things so you want to do. So it's nice and subtle. And because this highlight is just see-through, you can just make the bar any colour you want, and it just works. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something interesting. Go to patreon.com/TAPgiles to learn something new every day.